The Red Dragon pack lived far from the busy trade lanes, in a wide belt of drifting fire-red clouds. Their nesting zone was older than most star maps. It was warm, quiet, and safe. Or it had always been safe. The pack trusted this place. Their young slept there, wrapped in heat and light, guarded by ancient systems and older instincts. The warning signal came without sound. At first, the pack leader felt it as a sharp pull in his chest. It was not pain, but it was close. A deep bond trembled like a thread stretched too far. Around him, other dragons lifted their heads at the same moment. Their wings paused mid-fold. Their eyes glowed brighter. Something was wrong. The signal spread through the pack like fire through dry air. The hatchlings were calling. Not with voices, but with need. The pack turned as one toward the nesting zone. Sensors opened. Old machines woke. The warm readings that marked the young were scattered. Some were fading. Others were gone. A surge of cold anger moved through the pack. The nesting zone had been struck by an energy wave. Not a weapon. Not an attack. It was a strange human experiment, far away, but strong enough to bend space for a moment. The wave had broken the safety field. The eggs had cracked early. The hatchlings had been pushed out, small and weak, carried by chance toward nearby space. Toward human space. The pack did not need words to decide. Humans were known across the stars. Clever. Fast learners. But careless. They touched things they did not understand. They built where they should not. They watched where they should look away. The pack believed the worst. The young were taken. Or worse, studied. Or lost. The Red Dragon pack moved. Their ships were not ships as humans knew them. They were living frames of metal and flame, grown over time. As they traveled, the space around them bent as if afraid to stay in their path. Other species detected the movement and went silent. No one followed. No one asked questions. The pack did not come to speak. As they crossed into human-controlled space, the signal grew clearer. Weak but steady. The hatchlings lived. That alone kept the pack from tearing the first station they saw apart. The source was small. A human research outpost far from any main route. It floated alone, patched and uneven, marked with emergency lights. It was not a military place. No defense grid. No warning beacons. That made it worse. The pack circled the station. Their scans passed through thin walls and open halls. There were signs of damage. Burn marks from the energy surge. Power systems running low. Life support holding but barely. Inside there was only one human life sign. One. The pack felt confusion press against their anger. A full station should have many humans. This one had only a single presence. Weak but alive. The hatchling's signal came from the same place. The dragons slowed. They watched. They listened. No weapons charged. No alarms sounded from the station. There was no sign of struggle. No cages. No cold rooms. No cutting tools. The pack leader reached deeper with his senses. He felt warmth. Care. A steady rhythm, slow but strong like a heart refusing to stop. This did not match their fear. Still, the pack remembered old losses. Other species had taken dragon young before. None had lived long after. Trust was not a habit the pack had kept. They moved closer. One side of the station was cracked open, sealed with fast repairs. The energy wave had torn through here. Any human inside should have fled. But the life sign was still there. Waiting. The pack did not yet understand why. They held position just beyond the station's outer hull. The pack leader sent a low signal through the bond. Not rage. Not attack. Pause. For the first time since the warning began, the pack waited. Inside the station, the small signal of the hatchlings pulsed again. Soft. Calm. Safe. Whatever had happened here, it was not what the pack had expected. And that made the moment heavier than any coming battle. The Red Dragon pack hovered silently above the human outpost. The station was small, made of metal panels patched together in places. It floated alone in the cold emptiness of space. The energy wave had left scars on its walls, but the station still breathed with life. The pack could sense it, faint but steady like a heartbeat struggling to keep pace. The dragons moved closer, circling slowly. Their eyes scanned every corner, every shadow. Nothing moved outside. No alarms, no warning lights flashing in panic. The calm made them uneasy. Humans were clever, but they were not patient. They did not stay calm in danger. The pack leader signaled the others to slow. They floated near the entrance, their massive forms casting shadows across the station. Sensors glided through the walls, searching for the hatchlings. The readings were strange. Heat signatures were uneven. Weak, scattered, but steady. Inside the station was quiet. The halls were empty of human activity. Broken panels leaned against walls. Loose wires swung slightly in the artificial breeze. The energy surge had knocked out many systems, but life support continued to hum. The dragons sensed a presence. It was singular, small, but persistent. The pack moved as one toward the source. Their wings and claws made no sound. Their presence bent space slightly, but the station's thin walls did not resist them. Every dragon in the pack held their breath, though their chests heaved with anticipation. The human they sensed was in the medical wing. One life sign. Alone. The human was small compared to them, fragile even, but the dragons felt something unexpected. There was no fear radiating from him. Instead there was calm. Purpose. Care. The pack moved closer. The scans revealed warmth. Soft warmth, not mechanical. Living warmth. It pulsed steady and slow, but the heartbeat was strong. That warmth was connected to the hatchling's signals. It was the same rhythm as if the human's body was a cradle. The dragons paused at the doorway. Their eyes glowed, reflecting the faint lights of the outpost. What they saw inside made them stop entirely. The hatchlings were safe, asleep, lying on the human's chest. He was unconscious, but his arms circled them, holding them close. The baby stirred only slightly, sensing protection and safety. The pack leader extended a mental reach, trying to read the human's actions. No threat. No trick. The human had rescued the hatchlings from the energy surge. He had used his own body heat to keep them alive when the station systems failed. The dragons studied him. Small. Weak. Alone. Yet he had saved their young. He had done what no human had ever done before. He had put the lives of others above his own. The rest of the pack gathered at the doorway watching. They could sense the relief of the hatchlings. They could feel the bond forming not between dragons and dragons, but between human and dragon young. It was a new kind of bond. Strange. Powerful. The pack leader signaled the others to stand back. They did not need to attack. They did not need to demand. The human had already proven his worth. Still, caution held them frozen. Trust was not easy for dragons. But curiosity was strong. Slowly, the dragons lowered their massive heads to the level of the hatchlings. The babies moved slightly, sensing their parents nearby. The pack waited. Silent. Observing. Every instinct screamed for them to react, to reclaim what was theirs, but the humans' quiet courage stopped them. The pack could see the scars from the energy wave. They could see the damage that could have ended the hatchlings' lives. They could see that this single human had risked everything to save them. It was unlike anything the pack had ever encountered. Other species would have panicked. They would have destroyed the station in their fear. But this human had done the opposite. He had protected, nurtured, sacrificed. The pack leader realized something important. This was not a threat. This was care. And care, when done well, was stronger than fear or force. They stayed at the doorway. Their eyes followed every tiny movement of the hatchlings. They watched the human's chest rise and fall. They felt the warmth of the bond, steady and slow. No one in the galaxy had expected this. Not the dragons, not the humans, not the stars themselves. A single human, alone in a damaged station, had shown courage that rivaled the pack. And the red dragons, feared across the stars, felt the weight of a new truth forming in the stillness of that quiet medical bay. The pack waited. Not for war. Not for revenge. For the first time, they waited to see what humanity could truly do. The red dragon pack moved slowly into the station. Their wings folded tight to fit through the narrow halls. The outpost was quiet, broken in places, but still holding together. Every step they took made small echoes on the metal floor. They could feel the warmth ahead, the heartbeat that pulsed with life. The hatchlings were close. The pack leader's eyes glowed brighter. He sensed something strange, something he had never felt before. The signal from the hatchlings was strong, but it was different now. Come. Safe. Not panic, not fear, but quiet trust. The dragons followed the warmth to the medical bay. The door was half bent from the energy surge. Light flickered inside, casting shadows across the walls. And there, in the center of the room, was the sight that stopped the pack cold. The human lay on the floor, his chest rising and falling slowly. On top of him, the hatchlings rested. Tiny red scales glinting in the dim light, their eyes closed. They were sleeping, safe and warm. The human's arms were curled around them like a nest. Even unconscious, he held them carefully, protecting them from the broken station around them. The dragons paused. Their instincts told them to roar, to reclaim, to strike. But something in the calm rhythm of the scene made them hesitate. These hatchlings were theirs. But this human, he had saved them. He had risked himself without thought, without fear. He had given them warmth when all else failed. The pack leader reached out with his mind, sensing the humans' actions. Not movement for attack. Not deception. Simple, pure protection. The human's body had absorbed the cold of the station, the stress of the energy wave, to keep the young dragons alive. Every beat of his heart, every shallow breath, was a shield for them. The other dragons gathered closer, careful not to disturb the scene. They lowered their heads and watched the tiny beings on the human's chest. The hatchlings stirred slightly, sensing their parents nearby, but they did not panic. They felt safety. And it came from a human. The pack leader realized this was more than protection. It was care. Humans were fragile, yes, but they had a kind of strength that was different from dragons. They did not rely on size or fire. They relied on courage, patience, and heart. This one human had all three. Slowly, the leader stepped closer, hovering just above the human and the hatchlings. His massive shadow covered the trio, but there was no threat. The hatchlings stirred again, nuzzling closer to the human's chest. They were choosing him. Not out of fear, not out of instinct, but trust. The pack studied the scene. Data streams from their sensors confirmed it. The human had patched life support with spare parts. He had repaired heating panels. He had shielded the hatchlings from radiation. He had done everything possible and more to keep the young alive. This quiet, tiny human had done what no one else could. And the dragons understood. Their anger, their fear, their plans for attack, they all vanished in the weight of truth. The pack leader sent a low hum through the bond between the dragons. It was not a roar. It was not a warning. It was acknowledgement. They waited, watching, learning, wondering. One of the smaller dragons leaned closer to the human. Its snout nearly touched the hatchlings. They did not stir. They were calm. They trusted the human. The dragon pulled back slowly. There was no anger here. Only observation. Only respect. The pack realized something new. Life could be protected without force. Strength could be shown without fire. Courage could come from quiet, small beings who acted when no one watched. The human twitched slightly, groaning. He was exhausted. He had given everything to keep the hatchlings alive. And still, even in sleep, his presence radiated care. The dragons could feel it. It filled the room, touching even the oldest and largest among them. The pack leader studied the hatchlings. They were safe, healthy. Their small chests rose and fell in rhythm with the humans. A bond was forming. Not only between parent and child, but between species. Between human and dragon. For the first time in many cycles, the red dragon pack did not roar. They did not attack. They did not claim. They waited. They watched. They learned. The human moved slightly again, unconscious but still protective. The hatchlings shifted closer to him, trusting him completely. The dragons could see the unspoken truth. Strength was not just fire or claws. Sometimes it was warmth, patience, sacrifice. And in that quiet, flickering medical bay, the red dragon pack understood something new about the universe. Humans were fragile, yes, but some were capable of bravery and care that rivaled even dragons. The pack leader lowered his massive head one final time, looking directly at the small human. Not as prey. Not as enemy. But as protector. And in that moment, the dragons learned to wait, not for battle but for understanding. The unexpected sight had changed everything. The red dragon pack hovered in the medical bay, their massive forms filling the room with quiet power. They had seen the human, small and fragile, holding their hatchlings safely on his chest. The pack leader's heart beat slower now, the fire of anger replaced by a strange, heavy feeling. This human had risked everything to protect their young. That simple act forced a choice upon the pack, anger or understanding. The leader thought back to the way the hatchlings had nestled against the human. They had not cried. They had not struggled. They trusted him. And that trust was stronger than any threat the dragons could pose. For centuries the pack had ruled through strength, through fear. But here, in the quiet of a small human outpost, they realized something new. Strength could also come from care. The pack moved closer, wings folding carefully so as not to crush walls or panels. They sensed the human's heartbeat through the heat and the small signals of life. He was weak, exhausted from hours of keeping the hatchlings alive. Every breath, every slow rise of his chest had been an effort. And yet he had done it without complaint. Without fear. Without asking for reward. A low hum ran through the pack, a sound that meant caution but also curiosity. They could reclaim the hatchlings at any moment. No human could resist them. But doing so would undo the care that had saved the young. They paused, letting the quiet settle. The choice was theirs. One of the dragons leaned closer, its snout inches from the hatchlings. The babies stirred but did not panic. They reached with tiny claws touching the human's chest. Their choice was clear: they did not fear him. They accepted him as protector. And in that small moment, the dragons understood the truth. The human had earned their trust, even if he had not meant to. The pack leader signaled the others to stand back. They circled slowly, giving space but keeping watch. Every instinct told them to strike. Every old memory warned them of humans' unpredictability. But instinct was not the same as understanding. And for the first time, the dragons realized that understanding could guide their choice. The human shifted slightly, groaning, still unconscious. One dragon stretched a claw forward but stopped. Its claw hovered just above the hatchlings. It was a test, a small challenge to see if the human or his young would respond. Nothing happened. The babies snuggled closer. The human's body continued to shield them. The dragon pulled back. He had chosen care over fear. That was all the proof they needed. The pack leader moved above the human, wings folded around him and the hatchlings like a protective dome. He sent a soft mental signal to the others: patience. No attack. Observation. Let him finish what he had begun. They would not act until needed. Time passed slowly. The dragons stayed still, watching, feeling the rhythm of life in the small human and the hatchlings. The outpost systems flickered but continued to support them. The human had done all he could. The dragons had only to decide what to do next. The leader thought of the other species, the way humans were treated in the galaxy. Most feared dragons or ignored them. Some sought to harm. But this one human had risked his life without question. That kind of courage, that kind of care was rare. It deserved acknowledgement, not punishment. The pack made their choice. They would not attack. They would not reclaim the hatchlings by force. They would wait. They would protect if needed. The humans' actions had earned their respect. And respect, in dragon terms, was stronger than fear. The leader hovered close enough to see the human's face, pale but peaceful. The hatchlings nuzzled against him, still asleep. The dragons felt the bond forming. Not just between parent and child but across species. They understood that the humans could be allies, protectors, even friends if given the chance. A soft rumble moved through the pack. It was not a roar. It was not a warning. It was a sound of agreement, of acceptance. They had chosen a new path, guided by this human's quiet bravery. Their anger, their fear, their desire to reclaim by force, all of it had fallen away. The human stirred again, opening his eyes slowly. He saw the massive forms of the dragons above him and froze. But he did not panic. He saw the hatchlings safe. He saw the calm in the dragon's eyes. And in that moment he understood. The pack had made their choice. They would wait. They would watch. They would protect. And they would let the human finish what he had started, keeping the hatchlings alive, safe, and loved. For the first time, the Red Dragon Pack realized that strength was not only in fire and claws, but in courage, care, and choice. And in that quiet, flickering medical bay, with the human at the center of it all, the dragons learned to trust, to wait, and to honor the choice of another being. The decision was made. The human had proven himself. And the Red Dragon Pack would follow a new rule. Courage and care could earn respect, even from dragons. They would protect this human. And through that act, the pack learned something more powerful than fire. It was hope. The human opened his eyes slowly. His vision was blurry at first, but as he focused, he saw the enormous forms of the Red Dragon Pack around him. His heart raced. He had expected anger, maybe attack, maybe even death. But instead there was silence. Not empty silence, but a weight full of observation, respect, and something new. The hatchlings stirred gently, their tiny claws brushing against his chest. They were safe, warm, and calm. He realized the dragons were not angry. They had chosen not to strike. The pack leader hovered above him, massive wings folding around the room like a protective shield. The others formed a loose circle, watching, waiting, and guarding. The human's mind raced. How had he survived the energy surge? How had he saved the hatchlings? He had only acted instinctively. He had not expected reward or recognition. Yet here it was, recognition beyond any human understanding. The pack leader lowered his head closer. The human could feel the immense heat radiating from him. The hatchlings twitched in delight, sensing their parents near, yet still trusting the human completely. The leader's eyes glowed softly, a silent signal. Not threat. Not anger. Respect. The human reached out, touching the nearest hatchling gently. He whispered words they could not understand, but the tone carried warmth. The dragons observed every movement. They could see the human's courage, his care, and his calm. After long moments, the pack leader sent a deep mental signal through the others. It was a declaration, simple but powerful. Any human who protected dragon young, especially when danger threatened, was under the protection of the Red Dragon Pack. It was a law formed in a single moment, born of respect and understanding. The other dragons responded, lowering their massive heads in agreement. They did not roar. They did not demand. They only acknowledged. This human had earned a place among them, not as prey, not as a servant, but as a protector and ally. The human sat up slowly, still supporting the hatchlings. He looked at the dragons with awe. He understood instinctively what had been declared. From this moment, humans and dragons could trust each other. He had done what no other human had dared. His courage and care had shaped a new rule, stronger than fire, stronger than fear. The hatchlings yawned and snuggled closer. The humans smiled weakly, realizing their safety had created this new bond. The pack had chosen not only to protect the hatchlings but also to honor the human who had saved them. The law would be remembered not only in dragon memory but throughout the galaxy. The Red Dragon Pack moved slowly back toward the entrance, still hovering above the outpost. Their eyes watched the human carefully. They would not leave entirely, they would stay as guardians if needed. The message of this law was simple: protect life, show care, and dragons would honor and defend those actions. The human rose fully, supporting the hatchlings with care. He looked out at the vast emptiness of space beyond the station. For the first time, he felt that humanity had a chance to stand in a new light among the stars. Not as fragile beings to be feared or overlooked, but as keepers of the flame, allies to even the fiercest dragons. The pack leader hovered above him once more. A low hum of satisfaction ran through the group. It was a sound of peace, of acceptance, and of promise. The dragons had formed a new understanding, and it would last. The human had not only saved their young but had taught the pack a lesson they had not known they needed to learn. Messages traveled silently through the galaxy. Whispers among the stars spoke of the human who had earned the respect of the Red Dragon Pack. Traders, explorers, and distant colonies spoke of it in wonder. Humans were no longer just fragile beings, they were guardians, protectors, and worthy of trust even by the most powerful dragons. The human sat down again, hatchlings safe on his chest. He closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the heat and presence of the dragons around him. The outpost was still damaged, the lights flickered, but he felt complete. The law of the pack was more than words. It was action, witnessed and sealed by courage and care. From that day on, any human who risked themselves to protect dragon young would never be harmed by the Red Dragon Pack. The law spread quietly among dragons, a rule born of respect, not fear. Across the galaxy, humans began to earn a reputation not through battle or conquest, but through bravery, compassion, and the simple act of protecting life. The hatchling stirred and looked up at him. The human smiled, brushing a claw lightly. He had not sought glory, but it had found him. The pack hovered above, wings folded, eyes watching but relaxed. The bond was sealed. Humans and dragons could now stand together, not as enemies but as allies. In the quiet of the outpost, the human whispered softly to the hatchlings, promising to keep them safe. The pack leader lowered his massive head in acknowledgement. The new law had been made not with fire or threat, but through care, courage, and trust. And from that day forward, the galaxy would remember that humans could earn the respect of even the fiercest of dragons. Peace settled over the outpost. The human, the hatchlings, and the Red Dragon Pack shared a moment of quiet understanding. It was more than survival. It was the beginning of something greater, a new law, a new bond, and a new era for humans among dragons.